And so we have a phenomenal luncheon speaker that will come and speak to us about the Mentor Protege program. We have none other than Tabisa here with us, Kabisa, that's going to speak. That's going to speak. She is phenomenal. I feel very kindred to her since she's been here, and we're just really thankful for all of the folks from NASA. Let's give them a hand for being here. And I want to make sure we give a hand to our primes for being here as well. They've done a phenomenal job in being here. They all have goals to meet, and we're here to help them meet those goals. So at this time, we're going to turn the podium over to Tabby so she can talk to us about the Mentor Protege program. You need to, you want the hand? I'll give you that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. There we go. We're going to have a nice, hopefully engaging discussion about the NASA Mentor Protege program. This is a passion of mine. I love this program. I think it really adds value, not only to your capabilities as wonderful small businesses, but you really help us infuse the technology that we need to go forward. So we are looking at you as hopefully potential eligible proteges to participate in this program. So with that being said, my name is Tabisa Taliwako Kalisa. I'm the NASA Mentor Protege Program Manager, and I am lucky enough to oversee this program, but really all the hard work, thank you, Daryl, all the hard work is done by our wonderful small business specialists at the centers. You saw them here earlier. These are their agreements. And they're eating right now, so I won't have them interrupt their lunch, because in my culture, I'm from Uganda, you do not really interrupt people when they're eating, so. Our prime contractors, we wouldn't have the innovative program that we have without them, because they make us look good, and they have stood the test of time. They have helped us make our program better. And I will go on record to say the NASA Mentor Protege program is absolutely, bar none, one of the best in the federal government. You can quote me on that. Twitter, Facebook, social media, please go ahead. So, what does our office do? I'm not going to read from my slides because you've already had enough of this. You probably are already tired of us. So I'm just going to walk around, burn some of this nervous energy, because now I've got to be phenomenal. And it does take a team, so I want to rely on my team to kind of help me out here. So this is our vision statement. And really, we're trying to make sure we can get as many small businesses engaged in our mission. So we have 4 mission directorates. And those are the little icons. We have the Space Technology Mission Directorate, and Dr. Grant is a part of that mission directorate. We've got HEO, this is human exploration. We've got science, and we've got aeronautics. There we go. The first aid. That's it. We actually have a book on that, right? First aid. First aid? Okay. So they have quite a bit of money, and what we're trying to do is trying to see how we can get you all some, at least a way of understanding how NASA operates, because you really need to know how any other federal government operates, right? Because NASA is different from DOD, as you well know, different from energy. So you really need to know and understand how NASA does business and how you can help us help you. So with that being said, this program provides a wonderful platform for you to learn how to be more viable contractors, not only to the agency, but across the federal government. So we're looking at being able to sustain what you're doing, to be able to give you the tools that you need to go ahead and do a lot more and be more successful. So how we gauge success is a wonderful small business that partners with a large prime contractor. And when they have that partnership and they've got the training that they need and the tools that they need, they grow out of being a small business into a large business. And hopefully one day you can be able to pass that information forward, and from your lessons learned, teach other small businesses to be able to get to where you are. Okay, does that make any sense? And we're going to have a discussion. It's not going to be all about me talking. So please, yes, no, maybe, make sense? Okay, there we go. All right. So that's where you're going to find our regulations on our OSPP website, which stands for Office of Small Business Programs, ospp.nasa.gov. Really simple. ospp.nasa.gov. We've got all our information there. And as my boss said earlier today, hello? Can you hear me? There, maybe not? Okay. As Glenn said earlier today, NASA is one of the 3 federal agencies that have been approved to operate through February 20th, 2023. What does that mean? That means that you can go ahead and participate in our program. It's really easy. Have any of you listened to any of our webinars over the last couple of months? If you have, please raise your hand. Thank you so much. We've got a couple of you, apart from Glenn. He hasn't listened to one yet. But for those of you, did any of you listen to the Mentor Protege Program webinar that we had? No. All right. So June 28th, mark your calendar. We're going to have Holly Schick, who is the director of the All Small Mentor Protege Program at the SBA, right? She runs that program. They have over 550 agreements. Actually, I think even more than that right now. And we're going to feature her, but we're also trying to teach you how to leverage not only operating in one agency, but operating at another as well. So you can operate in our program as well as the SBA's program. But as long as you're not doing the same kind of transfer that you'd get at one agency as well as another. So I want to kind of show you the tools and how you can be able to benefit from both programs. Later on this summer, in I think July, we're going to have the Department of Energy is going to be briefing Mark Lukbam is going to be briefing the Energy Mentor Protege Program, what the benefits are, and what you need to do to engage in that in their competitive base. So this is a bit of an eyesore, but really it's very simple. What we're doing is, you know all about the SBA All Small Mentor Protege Program. None about that. We also had the 8A Mentor Protege Program, Development Assistance Program. And so I was looking at what NASA does, what differentiates our program from the All Small Mentor Protege Program, as well as the 8A Mentor Protege Program. So the years are typically around the same, about 3 years. You know, the SBA's is a little bit, you can actually go on and have another 3-year extension. With NASA, you can do that. The only difference is that you'd have to have a completely different type of developmental assistance. So you cannot come in and ask for CMMI level 2 certification and then come back and ask for that again. It has to be something completely different, right? So I can be able to justify that. NASA's program has got 10 eligible categories. That's the most that we have across the federal government. So if you're a small business that's an SBIR phase 2, Dr. Grant talked about his program. So if you actually participate in your phase 1 and going into your phase 2, you probably need to talk to one of the large prime contractors that are in this room, because all of them are approved mentors, and see how you can be able to partner, and they can help develop your technology readiness level. And with that particular program, we can actually go ahead. Glenn Delgado convenes a panel, our overall fabulous boss, right? Because he's right here, so I've got to say he's absolutely fabulous, right? So he convenes a panel, and then they determine how much money they'll give a prime contractor for mentoring you. That's the only program that will be able to do that. Some of you are familiar with the Department of Defense Mentor Protege Program, and in their program, they have the reimbursable option, as well as the credit hybrid option, whereas at NASA, we only have the credit-only program, but that's the only area where we have, if a prime contractor can develop a small business, that's an SBIR phase 2 or an STTR phase 2. Joseph mentioned what an STTR phase 2 is. Does anyone know what STTR stands for? No, not you, Glenn. Anyone else know what STTR stands for? Anyone? Okay. Thank you. Okay. So if you're one of those eligible categories, a prime contractor will go ahead and hopefully get that money. There's only one contractor in the history of the revamped program that has actually received those dollars. And the one prime contractor is the Boeing company. So I'm going to call on Bruce at some point. There he is. And he can talk about what they did. Does anyone have a mic? Where's the mic? Can you please give him a mic? Just, Bruce, if you don't mind, just say a couple of what led to the success of that small business.
Which one?
Talking about the SBIR phase 2, the only one that we've ever had.
Okay, yes. Is it on? Okay. Yeah, early in the ARIES program, we identified a small business that had a technology that would help us on our, which is the SLS program today. And we signed an agreement, 3-year agreement. We assisted them with elevating their TRL, technical readiness level, 4 levels. And by doing so, within that 3-year period, we were awarded an award fee. So that was a real good success. And that company, of course, soon after that was purchased by another large business and continued that technology.
That is a success.
Yeah, it was.
No, not on, maybe on? All right, okay, great. That is a wonderful success. So that's really the intent of the program. If we can be able to grow you to become hopefully large and help other small businesses. So, really simple. If you're an eligible mentor, all you have got to be is a large prime contractor, not on the debarred list, who is actually in good standing, has a prime contract with NASA, right? Because you have a subcontracting plan, so we can give you credit for that. Or a small business that has a subcontracting plan at the time of award. That's a new requirement that we actually just, we're constantly trying to update and refine our program. And we had an amazing small business that was down at Kennedy, did some work at Kennedy, and I think Joyce was a part of that, Joyce McDowell, the reigning Small Business Specialist of the Year. But this small business was a really great business. They had a subcontracting plan, and they were doing a phenomenal work. And they came in and asked us, why wouldn't we be able to mentor another small business? They leveraged a great case. Glenn sat down, thought about it, and eventually we edited our regs to make sure that that could happen. So the approved NASA mentors. If you're looking for a mentor, please find a mentor who actually does business at NASA, has an approved subcontracting plan. It's really that easy. And all the mentors in the room, as stated earlier, currently are approved. The only other thing you could actually do if you're not an approved mentor, it's really simple. You just have to send that application to our office. Glenn Delgado will sign up on that mentor application. You've got to give us your contract, and hopefully we can get that out to you as soon as possible. So we're trying to make this as easy for you to participate in this program and be able to leverage the resources that will take to actually be successful. I did mention we had 10 eligible categories. Those are the categories. So we actually even have, schools, HBCUs and MIs. Okay? So we currently have 9 active agreements, almost $1 million worth of subcontracting credit. We've got Ames Research Center. Christine has one of those agreements, and I know it's been really successful. Just had an award, an annual review. We have the Goddard Space Flight Center, Shala, I think has been part of some of those discussions, and Johnson Space Center, Mr. Watts from the Johnson Space Center. I got that correct. Langley Research Center, Mr. Rob Betts. Marshall has been a veteran at participating in the Mentor Protege program. I think most of the primes that currently do business at Marshall have participated in the program. And I'm going to have David talk about one of his agreements that actually was a success going forward. So the development assistance in NASA's program is really simple. 70-30% split, really easy. Supposed to make that as easy for you as possible. 70% technical and 30% business development. So this is what consists of the technical. We'd mentioned ISO 9000, we'd mentioned, CMMI level 3, Lean Six Sigma, that's what technical. But it's not as easy to understand, and you want to make sure you know what the parameters are. So you'd really call our office, ask us, and we're more than happy to give you, to be able to clarify some of these types of assistance for you. The intent is to grow your technical capabilities as well as your business development capabilities. If you're having issues hiring a program manager for a particular contract, and you might want to get some sort of certification, a prime contractor can get one of their HR folks to come in and help you do that, and they can get credit for being able to count those hours for that effort on their subcontracting plan towards that agreement. So here are a couple of successes. We had a Mentor Protege Agreement of the Year, the very first one, NASA didn't have a Mentor Protege Agreement of the Year award until one of our large prime contractors, the SBLO, came and said, well, why don't you have a Mentor Protege Agreement? So she came to DC for a meeting, met with our boss, and had a discussion, and guess what? Glenn said, I think that's a great idea. I think we should go ahead and have a Mentor Protege Agreement. And this SBLO is actually in the room, so that's Miss Jennifer Schofield, right? So thank you very much, Jennifer. And it made a difference because the very first agreement, this small business got over $1 million worth of work. They put in the time. That was one of those agreements that they worked so well together. They had such great synergy. They ended up having their teams sit together. That was out of the Johnson Space Center. They got all these certifications. They went ahead and were a prime on a couple of awards. And their mentor was their sub. So it was really successful. We actually got to see what the benefits were. And they're still as successful, even though the agreement has actually gone ahead and expired. But they still have to present us with reports every year on how they're doing. And they're really still doing well. Out of the Marshall Space Flight Center, the large prime is Teledyne Brown Engineering. The small business was the University of Las Vegas, Nevada, Las Vegas, right? UNLV. And I'm going to have David talk about that agreement a little bit. Okay, there we are. Okay, so David's going to talk about this agreement because he was instrumental. Like I did say, it's the center agreements, right? They own their own agreements. So Dave, just give us a few words on the success of that agreement.
She's putting me on the spot.
Exactly.
UNLV and Teledyne Brown Engineering, that was a significant mentor protege agreement for a couple of reasons. Give me stand? Oh, it's too much trouble. So it was one of a very special agreement for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons is that it was our first mentor protege agreement between a NASA prime and a minority serving institution since rollout of the Mentor Protege program back in January 2008. So I was really excited with that. Marshall had put 5 agreements in place with HBCUs, and we were proud of that too. But this one was really a special agreement for that reason. But also, this particular agreement has really worked out well for Teledyne Brown Engineering, as well as for UNLV. Looking back over the life of that Mentor Protege agreement when we first started it, Teledyne, under the Mission Operations and Integration contract at the Marshall Space Flight Center, were able to bring some of their graduate level students in, and they were able to work hands-on experience with Teledyne at the Marshall Space Flight Center, and in an environment that is very high tech, helping them with training manuals, just a lot of different things that went on under that contract. But at the end of that, what happens, and this is why I think it's so important for these mentor protege agreements between the universities as well as the prime contractors, it often ends up in jobs at the end of this once these students graduate. So I've always said that is as much a benefit as it is anything. But again, Mission Ops and Integration is a key contract at Marshall and will continue to be. It's Mission Operations Control out of Huntsville, and huge success for UNLV as well as Teledyne Brown Engineering. And they actually won the Mentor Protege Agreement of the Year award for that very agreement. Thank you.
Thank you. Out of Goddard. Shall I put you in the spot? No, thank you. Okay. All right. So this is another great success, and this is the reason why. Raytheon provided support to Element 84. They are a woman-owned small business that had really, really small. They had about 12 employees, but they got quite a bit of work and ended up doing a follow-on contract. It was completely different developmental assistance, and they thrived under that contract. Of course, Raytheon ended up being the large business of the year. I'm sorry, Triphylia has given me the one minute mark, so I'm hoping you're gonna have questions so I can stay up here longer. But the good news was this is still a great partnership because after the agreement ended, they're still doing lots of work together, right? And NASA Shared Services Center, we have SAIC and Ignite. They really worked. This was actually NSSC's very first mentor-protege agreement. They had not had one before, but they signed that agreement, I think, about a year ago, maybe, at Marshall, actually. But they have happened to get quite a bit of work just from working with SAIC, and I know that the small business specialist, Mr. Troy Miller, who's not here with us today, really worked hard to make sure that agreement came to fruition. And not only has he had that agreement, but he's actually has one now with Jackson State University, and he has 2 agreements that are waiting. Is Giovanni here? Is he left? I think it might have been left. All right, so CSRA has got 2 agreements that are waiting for Glenn to review. One is with an HBCU as well as a small business. So before I end, and I think I'm at like 30 seconds left, right? So any of our prime contractors, can I put you on the spot, please? Say yes. You can stand up to the challenge. Can you talk about any of your successes? I know I have Brad. Anyone want to jump in? Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, you guys in the back, she said, of course I want to talk about my mentor protege because it was actually one of the best ones. So Orbital ATK had a mentor protege with Florida A&M University. And a lot of the mentor protege agreements are basically working with the students, bringing them in as interns. But Orbital ATK chose not to do that. We did it a little bit different. We wanted to do studies, basically. So our contract called for with Marshall Space Flight Center. That's who we had our contract vehicle with. And so I was able to get a champion, an engineer champion, and some other executives in the company. And we actually went to FAMU and asked for one of their instructors to lead and be our contact point. And what he did was he put that into his senior class project. So these individuals, these students, we had, I think, 18 students. He divided them into 3 groups, and they were actually able to work together but compete with 3 different teams. They had the opportunity to go to Kennedy Space Center and actually touch and be involved with the hardware that goes into Orbital ATK provides the booster motors for the SLS program. And so we had a bunch of studies that they were able to work on, and Dr. Okinwa Akoli was our instructor. So they actually had what I would consider real life experiences with a large corporation. And so it was really good. They didn't just come in as a recruited or as a student doing an internship. They were able to work as a team. We actually treated them like a business, that they had a deliverable to us. These 3 teams competed against each other, and they had a deliverable on how they would put together this study. I can't remember right off all the very fancy engineering words that were used, but they actually competed against each other, and then we were able to grade them. And so it was a deliverable. They got real life experience, and it worked out really, really well, and we were very proud of the students. And then we turned that into NASA and was able to send that deliverable to NASA.
Thank you so much, Jen. So one of the questions that came up earlier is, could you get if I'm not mistaken, could you get a facility clearance for the mentor protege? Was that your question? Someone had a question about that? Was that your question? Did I phrase that right? Okay, yes, you can. So under one of NASA's agreements, we have one with Aerojet Rocketdyne and what's the name? David's one of your agreements. Yeah, and the woman on ICO Rally, right? That's one of the things that they wanted to get. I know Glenn's saying time's up, but I'm just want to just answer your question. So that's one of the things that they put in the agreement. But you can also utilize, the NSA has got a great program, it's the PISA program. As a small business, go ahead and try and see if you can, they will pay for you to have a facility clearance, at least get 2 of your people a facility clearance once a year. So 2 people from your company once a year. You have to go in and go to one of their briefing sessions, talk about what your company does, and they'll be able to sponsor you to do business at the NSA. Any other questions? Since my time's up. Yes, sir.
We're back.
Let him borrow your mic.
Sir, I can yell it again.
There's a maximum number of proteges that a mentor can have.
No, limitless.
That's not my understanding. But I was told was 3, and how one. So if it's limitless through NASA,
NASA's program, a mentor can have as many proteges as they want.
I would like to. I would like
SBA's
to,
program.
I'd like to. If that's the case, then that's great. I'd like to challenge
It is the case.
because I was told 3, and I'll provide the other.
That is, they're thinking about
presentation.
SBA, not NASA's program.
That's what I was saying. So NASA itself is unlimited, but
Correct.
through SBA, there's a limit of
Yeah.
3. And so would the NASA program count under SBA?
No.
And just see,
No.
that if I approach somebody to be a protege, are they already maxed out and I don't even need to go there?
I don't know if you heard my boss. Of course, yes. No, it doesn't count at our program. And June 28th, call in, listen to our webinar, and we're going to tell you how you can actually go ahead and be able to leverage both agencies' programs. And that's one of the things one of the ways you can do so. We're going to actually talk about all of that. Since my time's up, and I want to make sure I don't have Daryl never speak to me again. Any other questions?
There. The prime necessary.
Okay, that's Michelle.
We'll take the prime, and then we're going to have to shut it down because we have some logistical things to take care of for the matchmaking.
Okay.
Tabby, I just wanted to ask one big favor to everyone in the audience that thinks they're going to get on an email or a phone call and call us primes and say, I want a mentor-protege agreement, or I'm interested in mentoring. Let's go back to the relationships. We should have a relationship first and then talk about mentor-protege. Starting your conversation by asking for a mentor-protege agreement is not the right approach. I don't know any other way to sugarcoat it. I mean, we have to know who you are first, and then we talk about that. We're very interested in teaching and working with you, but let's have that relationship part first. Thank you.
That is absolutely wonderful. I think we can end on that note. Sage advice. Thank you all so much for your time, and hopefully I'll see some new agreements coming in from relationships that you've already built in the past, right? Right. Okay, go NASA. Thank you.